Another week of Dana White's Contender Series, and another week where 5 fighters get contracts. And on this card in particular, week number 3, we got 5 knockouts, 4 of which were in the first round. This is probably one of the better Contender Series cards I have ever seen in terms of finishes. It is also one of the better cards I've ever picked, of course, because I did manage to go 5-0 again, which it does fill me with a bit of happiness. You know, it does fill me with a bit of joy in this cruel world. And I want to talk about the card, obviously. So Dante Johnson beat Darian Abbey in the first round by knockout in just over a minute. I mean, the thing about Abbey is his biggest weakness was the fact that he doesn't deal well against pressure, and he doesn't deal well against combinations. And if you watch his fight against none other than Patrick Martin, that is where it got exposed, and Johnson is a combination boxer. Now, the thing about Johnson, which is interesting, is he was listed at 6 foot tall before this. I do think he's taller than 5'8", but I think he's probably like 5'9", 5'10". And I also think the fact that he weighed in at 209 pounds, I think he can cut to 185. I would like to see maybe the UFC PI help him out, unless he does have a good nutritionist at home, wherever he is. I would like to see him try and cut to 185 pounds. Like, I don't know if he's got a good team around him that can help him make a pretty big weight cut like that, but if he's weighing in, walking around at 209 pounds, I mean, 205 pounds, he's going to be taking on much bigger guys than himself in there. So I'd like to see him try 185. He's a good boxer. He's showing good takedown defense. I don't know how good his ceiling is necessarily, but I think that Johnson can have a lot of really fun fights in the UFC. I think that he has a higher ceiling than someone else on the card, such as Ryan Gandra. Now, Manuel Souza took on, of course, none other than Christian Perez in what was one of the highest level fights on the card, one of the highest level fights on the season, and he was down 2 rounds. And then he was able to come back in the 3rd round against the gassed Christian Perez. In the 2nd round, Souza started to have a lot of striking success. A couple massive shots to the body really hurt Perez late into the 2nd round, but Perez was able to get consistently with the takedowns. Now, most of this was because Souza was pulling Kimura in takedown defense. Like, he wasn't pulling guillotine. He was pulling Kimura in defending these takedowns, which I don't like to see. I think it's very bad fight IQ. But you could tell that he's got good cardio, he's got good conditioning, his grappling in general is pretty good. Like, he was able to sprawl out of some tough positions on the ground. I'm not as high on Souza as I was before, kind of just given the fact that, you know, he was down 2 rounds to Perez. But Perez, I think, is now very good. You know, I think that Perez probably should be a guy we see soon. Like, I would like to see him, honestly, get like 1 or 2 wins outside of the UFC, take on some guys that, you know, just aren't very good. And then we can see him signed straight up himself, because I think that Perez is a very talented guy in his own right. But Souza was able to outlast him, got the 3rd round KO, TKO, against the very gassed out Perez. I picked Yakyaev to win in round 1 by submission. He dominated this fight. I mean, even the commentators didn't even know what to say. He dominated this fight so quickly and so easily. He won in 30 seconds. Now, Alec Lorenz, obviously, you know, I never really thought he was that good, but I didn't think he was this bad, you know? And Yakyaev just kind of proved that he's another level, man, and he wants to fight in Brazil. I think he wants to fight against Bruno Lopez, because Bruno Lopez holds a win over Magomed Gaziasilov, and I don't know if Yakyaev and Gaziasilov are friends, but if they are, it would make sense why Yakyaev wants to avenge that loss of his friend. So, I'm going to say that I think that Yakyaev is going to fight in Brazil against Bruno Lopez pretty soon. Speaking of Brazilians, Marcio Barbosa, a man full of hatred in his heart. 16 wins in the first round. I believe 14 wins in the first round by KO now. I mean, he was born for this show, man, and he put on a good performance. Now, we'll give Damon Wilson some credit. He looked good in a lot of moments in this fight. Like, Lopez was pushing the body with his push kicks, with his teep kicks, and he was fighting from range. He was throwing shots and getting out of range of Barbosa, but Barbosa landed a nasty overhand right that folded Damon Wilson over. The referee looked like he was actually going to step in and stop the fight, but Wilson somehow woke up and continued fighting. I don't know how. I really don't know how. Because Wilson, he was out, man. Like, and then he woke up again. And he just kept going, and then Barbosa put him out again. Now, it's quite interesting because if you watch the slow-mo replay, Barbosa landed the right hook, and it almost looked like Wilson was still standing up, and Barbosa just pushed him down and then finished him with the ground and pound. But yeah, massive, massive win for Barbosa there. I don't know how far he's going to go in the UFC, but he's 17-2. Massive power in the hands, a lot of combinations. Very excited to see Barbosa in the UFC. Gandra. My boy Gandra. I wasn't that confident in Gandra because I don't think he's very good. He reminds me of Brinson Ribeiro. I actually kind of said he was a worse version of Brinson Ribeiro, but given this performance, he might be better. His accuracy was on point tonight. Like, he didn't really miss a strike. He was setting up body kicks. He was throwing the hands. Every single time he landed on Trent Miller, whether it was a body kick, a leg kick, a punch to the head, Miller didn't like it. He was getting hurt on the feet, man. Every single time Gandra landed a shot. And eventually Gandra put him out. Now, Miller ate some massive shots just in general in this fight. Like, Gandra was landing some big combos, some big one-shot KO blows, and Miller kept going. And I'll respect him for that, but I do just think that Gandra obviously dominated the matchup, and they all got contracts, as I think I said in the intro. Gandra, let's do some matchmaking, huh? This is the second channel. We don't need to be super prepared with anything. We can kind of just come up with things as we go. I would like to see Gandra versus Trayshawn Gore. That would be epic if he still even has a contract. If not, Gandra versus Nick Klein would be quite fun. I don't even know if any of these guys are still on the roster. Ozzy Diaz versus Gandra would be quite fun. Valentin versus Gandra would be fun if he's still on the roster. Jordan Santos versus Gandra actually would be a free win for Gandra. I don't know. I think that's good matchmaking there for me. Just kind of anyone at the bottom that's going to put up a fun fight. Featherweight, I think with Barbosa, he's 17-2. I don't think you give him an absolute can. I think you give him someone with a bit of talent. Are we done with the Zhang Yang Li experiment? If we are, I think you give him Zhang Yang Li. If not, I think you throw him in there with someone that's going to stand and bang with him, dude. Like, he does have a loss to Gabriel Santos. We can't go any higher than this. I think you go maybe to Zenis Bazooka. He's going to stand and bang with him. Francis Marshall will stand and bang with him. 10 out of... Timothy Kawamba or Francis Marshall versus Marcio Barbosa. Book it. Those fights are perfect. Those fights are actually perfect. Yakyaev, Bruno Lopez in Brazil. Manuel Souza. I think this guy actually has a bit of talent. I would like to see him fight someone that actually has a little bit of skills. I think you just throw him in there. What's the shame with him with Yanel Ashmouz? You know, a little bit of talent. I think that makes sense to me. What's the shame of throwing him in there with Gabriel Green? He just beat Mateus Camilo. What's the shame of throwing him in there with Kurt Holobar? Do we want to get rid of Kurt Holobar? I think they're good matchups. I think that's some good matchmaking from me. Dante Johnson. We're cutting to 185, Dante. We're going to 185, and since you're very inexperienced, we're going to give you the canniest of cans. You're fighting Jose Medina. Unless Jose Medina has a fight booked. I think we do Jose Medina versus Johnson. Test out, can he cut to 185 pounds? Why did they give Dusko Todorovic this fight? Okay, you're fighting Jordan Santos. I mean, you spark Jordan Santos anyways. There's no really worry about that. Jordan Santos versus Johnson. I want to see Johnson try and cut to 185 pounds. That's it. I will see you guys in the next one.